are going through these chapters, we're really talking about two different things. We are talking about statistics right now. This then leads us into probability. The difference between statistics and probability is statistics is all about collecting data. Probability is making predictions based off the data that we know. So, they're closely related, but when we're talking about sampling, we're talking about statistics. So, what does it mean for something to be convenient? Like, we've got the convenience store, obviously, but what does it mean for something to be convenient? Tom?
It's like easy to get to, you don't have to do all the work.
Okay, easy, not much work. Yeah, helpful. It does something that I need to do or provides some information that I'm looking for.
Nearby, easily accessible.
Nearby and easily accessible. So, today's lesson about convenience sampling is all dealing with the true meaning of what it means to be convenient. So, our tumultuous town mayor wants to reroute the town buses. He's got a lot of goals this time. So, he goes to two nearest bus stops. There's one out in front of the building he works at, and he goes to the next one, and he asks those riders their opinions. This was convenient. He went to the two closest to him. What could be some good things about that, and what could be not so good? So let's go good and not so good. We'll go good over here and not so good over here. What's good about what he did?
It's convenient.
It's convenient, so it's easy, right? I just don't want to write as much, so I'm going to make that say easy instead of convenient. What are you looking for, bud? Nope.
No,
When you're
up
late,
there, up the top.
14.3, 14.4. So it's easy. Part of why it's easy is that it's close, but all because it's easy doesn't mean it's close. I can say this math problem's easy, but it's in Indiana. You'll get it. Like, that's not close. So all because something is easy doesn't mean it's close, but this is both easy and close. What else? Positives, negatives? You can give me negatives if you want. Sam?
So a negative is that he didn't get all. He only got the people that were around him.
Ooh, so like we could say a small amount of people.
Sample.
They're all from the same place too.
Ooh, so they might have the same opinions. Opinions. They might. We don't know, but that's a potential drawback. Andrew? Ooh. That same opinion kind of says that, but let's use our great word of bias. Awesome.
All these people who live near the stadium, I think it's good because they live this way.
Yeah, so that would be bias, but that'd be a geographical bias based on where they live.
Like they might not be knowledgeable about that topic.
Yeah, that kind of plays into bias. So these are all good points for us to think about. When we talk about what it means to do a convenience sample, things that it needs to be a convenient sample, well, okay, you have to have a sample. So some people want to define all the parts of a sample, so we know it's got to be part of the population. We already know that about the sample. But to be convenience, must be easy. I do not want to put a lot of work into this. Must be close by. We would like it to be representative, but we don't actually know that it will be. So a good statistical, which actually if you want to come over here, especially if you have a highlighter, a good statistical study should consider whether there's a sampling method that produces a representative sample. Do you think about that bus stop problem? Do you think the people at those two bus stops represented all of the bus riders? No. So one drawback with convenience sampling is it could be bias. And actually this might produce bias because of where you did it. Say I'm doing a sample about school lunches. And I do that sample in the lunch line. Well, everyone in the lunch line is buying the school lunch. So if I'm asking people, about like, do you purchase lunch or not? If I do the sample in the lunch line, that's completely biased. Now, if I'm collecting data about how far do you walk to get to school, or how long does it take you to get to school, could I do that sample in the lunch line?
Yeah.
Would that give me bias?
No.
No, because the lunch line has nothing directly to do with how far it takes you to get to school. So you have to think about, how do I make a convenient sample that won't, we try to avoid this. So we try to avoid it, but sometimes it's unavoidable. We try to avoid producing bias. What else about a convenient sample? If we want to just define things, kind of fill out our box, it needs to be part of the population. So if this red dude right here is my researcher, to get a convenient sample, he just talks to all the people close by. But the issue is, my population is diverse. I've got green and purple and blue, and those convenient people to me may not show the diversity that exists in that population.
Looks like there's more green than there are blue and purple.
So your sample should have more green. Like, it does look like in general there's more green. So when you take your sample, you should end up with a sample that has more green. So suppose we're doing research on students at your school. Is each instance convenient sampling, and why? So take a moment to read through these. Underline or highlight or indicate somehow how you know the answer that you are deciding on. Ashley, what do you think? You put an ad in the school newspaper for your research project, and you accept the first 10 students who volunteer. Would that be convenient for you? Because so that's like Ashley announces at Forum, hey, I'm going to take a survey, come see me if you want to do my survey. Everyone comes to Ashley. Is that easy for her?
Yeah.
Is it, another thing about convenient sampling is it should be fairly quick. If it's easy and close, it should be quick, but if you want to put that in your box, it should be quick. That'll be quick. The people came to her, she got her data. Now this could be biased, the people who chose to come to her, but she can't do anything about that. So yeah, this would be a convenient sample because they are volunteering. And it's the first 10, it's easy. I don't have to pick or choose. Manasa, you put the names of all students in a hat and pull out 10 names at random.
Yes. It is convenient.
So when you pull that name out, can you ask that person your question?
Yes.
So imagine this situation. We take all of Phoenix students, all of the 7th grade, whatever you want your population to be. You now mix up all their names, draw out, sure, Justin Brown. Is he here? So to ask him your question, what would you need to do?
Find them.
You need to go find him.
I don't want to do that.
And that's not convenient. So this actually is not convenient, but it is random. So it's not convenient, but it is random.
It's not biased.
You don't know. So that's the most fair way to try to not have bias. You can't guarantee it won't be biased though. Because those 10 people could, I could pull 10 names out of a hat and get 10 guys. That would be bias if my population is male and female. I didn't make that bias, it just happened randomly. Now the odds of that happening are pretty small, that every single draw would be a guy, because that you have a 1/2 chance every time you make a draw. Sam?
Is that how the Phoenix lottery is done?
So they go boy from this side of the river, girl from that side of the river, boy from the other side of the river, girl from the other side of the river, and they keep doing that. So there will be 20 boys from this side of the river, 20 girls from this side of the river, 20 boys from this side of the river, 20 girls from because it's split by high school. It's not actually split by elementary, it's split by high school.
So do they end up reading our essay things? Did we write? Yeah.
We do after you get selected. That has nothing to do with whether you get selected or not. We just use that to get to know you.
Yeah.
Julie.
So it's just
Sweet! What do you think? You choose the first 10 students you see. Now, what's the difference between A and C? You have to, well,
You're putting out an ad.
To get students to volunteer.
so that's still convenient, but it's not as convenient as C. This is the most convenient method. I gotta say, okay, Whitney, I gotta ask you a question. Ashley, no, like all the people that you see, I didn't have to put an ad in the paper to get those 10 people. So this is unnecessary. If you want to make it as easy as possible, choose the first 10 people you see. Hey Whitney, did you eat lunch at school or pack?
Eat lunch.
Colin, did you buy lunch or pack? This is pretty easy, right? So the first 10 people I see, that's gonna be convenient. Now we can't get to a point where you physically do nothing unless you have to make a robot do it for you. And then you have to make a robot. Elaine?
Well, for C, it says when you choose the first 10 students you see, what if they don't want to do it, and then you'll have to go find other ones?
Yeah, you just assume that if they're in your population that they'll answer your survey.
Okay.
Yeah. Suppose you're doing research on the students in your grade. This tells you your population. That's your population. Which of the descriptions is not convenient sampling? So take a second. Which of these would not be a convenient? I can check how long we're in this class.
I'm sure it's like
52.
I think it's 10 minutes earlier than it should be, so I think it's 30. Yeah. We're good. I needed to check how long we're in. 42. So we got plenty of time.
about half hour.
Mr. Hoover, when you choose the first 20 students you see, is that convenient?
Yes.
Yeah. First 20 people I saw. I just holler and I'm asking my question. You choose all the students in your school band. Anish, what do you think? Is that convenient? Hold on. This is interesting.
What if you're not in band?
It's your band.
So, this is the problem with looking at this question from the Phoenix perspective. This, to be totally convenient and match what we're talking about, would have to have a 7th grade school band as opposed to just school band. But still, if you're in the band, is that convenient for you? Yes. So that it's a little off, but it's still convenient if you're in the band. It's assuming that you are. You choose all the students in your classroom right here with you. That's convenient too. I can literally just say, okay guys, show of hands. Who packs or who buys? You choose 10 students from each classroom. Mr. Smith, what do you think?
Maybe.
How convenient is it for you to walk to each classroom? Yeah, no, that sucks. That's work, right? So, this is more fair because it distributes who I'm asking, but it's not convenient.
So the answer is number 4. You have to
It's
walk.
not convenient, but it is fair.
Yeah, you have to walk all the way to the 8th grade pod.
No, not if you're doing your grade.
Oh, yeah.
Lane?
Then that's not bad.
Well, it's
For the school band one, what if the people in your school band are in the classroom? Would you have to go find them?
You assume that you're at band. Like my in band class, and I ask the people in band. So this one is kind of in between. It's not as convenient as we would want. So I would probably not choose the second method if I want to make it as easy as possible. Julian?
So if we get off I don't know, all for each assembly or hour.
Essentially. I mean, once you get there, you're almost an
Oh,
hour.
we also have the early.
You're like the
Fire
fire
release.
Yeah, we have a fire drill today. That was not supposed to be public knowledge. Well, not that it matters, but it's a better drill if people weren't expecting it.
But she's gonna be able to pack it up.
Yeah, supposed to pack up before. Yeah,
When did this get announced?
Miss
Because
Cullinan.
it's a rapid release.
Oh, then it's not fire drill, it's evacuation drill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rapid release drill.
Yeah, she said rapid exit.
Well, because fire and rapid release are a little bit different. Rapid release would be if there was a situation happening and we were sheltering in place, and then we say, okay, go. as opposed to a fire drill is go. You know what I mean? So we're practicing a couple different modifications of drills.
Which unit was it that you like screamed because we didn't know we had a fire? And you like
Oh, I
like
don't know
yelled
any of
That
them.
was like
I don't like fire drills. So, suppose you're a news reporter. We're on the back now. And you are investigating the town's opinion on the new shopping center. So this is your question, the opinion on the new shopping center. Like, we could have a couple years ago went around and asked people their opinion on the new Walmart that was going in because that was a big deal that Dublin allowed a Walmart to come in.
I feel bad for Kroger though.
Oh, yeah.
That was the big deal about it, is how much business will this take from other businesses. So, what are 3 ways to choose a convenient sample of the town residents interview? Are the samples we choose representative? So think about how could we choose convenient samples? So Moon, what do you think if we're going to try to figure out a way to make a convenient sample asking people about the shopping center? What's one way that you could make a convenient sample?
you could ask like people that you see on the street.
So where? Like this on the street, or like on the street in your neighborhood, or what do you mean on the street?
Like around your neighborhood.
Sure, so I could ask my neighbors. They're close,
Stop the walk all around now.
they're available. By the way, the people that you want to ask have to be available. So it doesn't make any sense to choose a sample of people that you can't ask. Now, if I ask my neighbors, should that get me a fairly, accurate representative sample?
Yeah, 'cause they're shopping.
So my question is opinion on the shopping center, right? Would my neighborhood create bias about the shopping center?
Yes.
Maybe geographically, but really, so let's move on and then we'll compare. We'll compare our 3 different ways that we talk. So first way, we're going to ask our neighbors. What's another way, Mr. Cardiatis, that we could survey? Ask your classmates. And a third way. Ellie, what do you think?
You could ask the street outside the TV station.
Sure, I could stand on the street. So we would say ask passerbys or people on the street. Well, they might not just be standing by.
Passers-by?
Yeah, as what a person walking by would be. Now, I'm going to put another one up here.
At the deli and the strip mall. Especially the strip mall. It's
What if you...
Stood in the parking lot and just asked people in the shopping center.
That'd be biased.
Okay, fine.
So if we ask people at the shopping center,
That'd be biased.
why?
Because if you're asking for their opinion on the shopping center and they're by the shopping center, it's more likely that they're going to say, yeah, I love the shopping center if there's the shopping
So
center.
what if I ask people at the deli?
Well, they probably won't care, but cause they're just shopping at the deli. But the
So,
people
hold
who
on,
work
okay,
at
hold on.
the deli.
Let's think about that statement for a second.
That'd be biased.
So, Mr. Smith, his family owns a deli, Smith Deli. Down, he's got a bunch of siblings. Talk to him about it. So let's say a block away, they open up a Walmart Supercenter. You go into the deli, and you see there's people there buying meat at the deli, not buying meat at Walmart Supercenter. Do you think they have a bias on where they prefer to shop?
Yeah. At the deli. That's where they're
Here's where this gets dangerous and where this gets hard to navigate through. When we think about bias, we need to try to remove any facets of my question. So my question deals with, where do you shop? If I ask people in a store, regardless of whether it's the shopping center or not, there's probably going to be some bias. So to get rid of bias, ask people somewhere that doesn't relate to a shopping center. So ask people outside the TV station. They're just walking down the street. They're not shopping in a deli or shopping center. Ask people in your neighborhood that they shouldn't have any preconceived bias based on where they are. Your neighbor doesn't immediately have a bias because he's your neighbor. Unless you're asking about something dealing with your neighborhood. Then you could go to the strip mall or whatever and try to do that. But try to remove any facets of the question. So if we're asking about where they shop, try to remove shopping from it. I think this question is pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I think I actually copied that over incorrectly. I think that's my bad there on the got it being the same way. Huh?
They're really the same thing.
I think it is.
Only the got it doesn't have the word explain.
Yeah. So there's a lot more. But when this was made, there were over 300 million websites in the world. And that's not even counting dark web. Use the convenient sampling method to determine it's websites that you can't get to on the normal list. Don't worry about it. It's websites that you shouldn't be on because they're illegal. But the internet is vast. The part that you're on is the surface. There is a vast amount of stuff that exists in the internet that you don't know about.
Don't go to the dark side.
And you really have to know how to get there. So we're talking about websites, right? So we're talking about the normal websites, those surface websites, the normal websites. So your convenient sample is 20 of my favorite websites. And what I'm asking is, do they get more than 1 million hits per day? So think about your favorite websites. What are some of your favorite websites? Google?
Chicken smoothie.
Yes.
Okay.
What? YouTube.
YouTube.
Button.
Spotify.
Instagram.
So, hold on. So back up. The real question we gotta answer.
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
It's on eBay.
Yelp.
So hold on, let's think about some of the names, some of the sites you listed. Hulu, YouTube, Netflix,
Chicken
smoothie.
Google.
Minecraft.
Now hold on. So those are your favorite websites, right?
Yes.
Minecraft.
Do you think that would create a bias when my population is all websites?
Yeah.
Because, okay, stop. We're moving on. When they're your favorite, they're also probably other people's favorites, and those are going to be the popular sites already. You have inherently created a bias in your data collection. What would be a way to get rid of that bias? But unless you're really unique, unless your websites that you go to are so far in left field that other people don't know about them, like problematic.com, the one that I use to create all my tests and everything, I doubt a lot of people go to that. But that creates a bias, because I know that it's a rarer website. Google is a really common website. So when you choose your favorites, those are inherently going to be popular. So think about this. What you've said is that 11 out of 20, or 55% of websites get over 1 million hits. That can't be true. That is a biased result. Now, we could remove that bias, though. How could I remove the bias for choosing 20 websites? How could I choose these websites for the least amount of bias possible? Andrew?
I was gonna say put a random generator up and just generate websites.
Randomly generate your choices. Dude, I could pay you. Well, I can't because I'm broke, but that was exactly what I was looking for.
Thinking about generating sites. Is that what the military when it does generate those ones?
So here's what we could do. Give every website out there a number. website 1, website 2, website 3, all hold on. No. So you make the computer do it, right? You make some software do it. Then here's where it gets sweet. Random.org literally is the best way to make a computer. Doesn't have bias. So we said there were 300 million websites, right?
Yeah.
So I would start at 1 and go to 300 million. The first website I check is website whatever this is. The next website I check is whatever that is. It's randomly picking a number. It's saying, here's all my numbers. I pick that one. Then when you click it again, it says, I pick that one. And it just is randomly picking numbers in your set so that there's no bias. So I needed to pick 3 of you to get candy at the end of class. Now you care, right? There's approximately 22 of us. So person number 2, you get candy. Person number 9, you get candy. And person number 2. Well, I can't pick the same person twice, but it's randomly, that just happened out of circumstance. So I just randomly generated another one, and then person 21 would get candy.
Yay! That's cool.
So, random.org is a great place. And you can look, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. So if you want to look at different, like, coin flippers or Keno picks, like all these different random things. You can, like, have it randomly pick cards. If you want to do the whole deck, you can say, okay, I've got all of these cards, and I can set up all so that I can draw cards. So I can randomly get draws from the deck. And I can set the deck to do different things. So I can only have black cards or only have red cards. So you can talk about actual probability here.
What's the point of that?
To randomly make choices. We cannot make a random choice.
We can't.
You as a human, it is very, very, very difficult for you to make a random choice because our brains are hardwired to think about pros and cons. So it's very hard. If I say randomly pick a number, in your head you're thinking, oh, I like certain numbers. That one's prime, that one's even, that one's odd. Your brain is thinking about numbers. When somebody tells me to pick a number, half the time I say 7, half the time I say 13. 7's prime and they say it's the lucky number. 13's also prime and they say it's unlucky. I just have inherently grown an attractiveness to those two numbers. And they add up to 20, which I think is kind of interesting too.
My lucky number is 7, my unlucky.
I mean, you could like be blindfolded and throw a dart. Like, like that's a way to randomly choose something. So let's think about this. You go stand on, I think it's Lindworth, goes across 270.
Get off.
And you want to talk about the colors of cars. Now inherently, actually there's data to support red cars are more likely to get pulled over. They look faster. So when I had my Honda, I got pulled over 3 times, it was bright red. Actually the color was called Arrest Me Red. Thank you to my mechanic for thinking that was a good idea. That was like on the paint can. It was called Arrest Me Red. It's such a great red. So how many of these cars would we predict are red? So we go out and we stand there and we don't want to be there all day. So we pick the first 40 cars that we see. We just say, okay, keep track of, okay, 1, what color is it? 2, what color is it? 3, what color is it? And we see that there are 16 red ones. If we want to set up how many we'll predict, we did a little bit of this yesterday, take the data that you have. Red out of all. So we've got 16 out of 40. Now yeah, we could reduce that, but we don't care. Because we can either set that proportional to my red out of my total, or the easier way,
Percentage.
well, we could percentage, but we don't even need to.
Just multiply it.
Just multiply your proportion or your ratio by the total. This is essentially doing the cross multiplication. That will spit out the amount of predicted red vehicles. I gotta pick it up once there's no students. Don't touch it. There's broken glass. Do not touch it. Gravity works in the worst of ways sometimes. Anyone calculate this? You got
Yeah,
one?
like 29.1, but
No,
That is not.
that is not true.
So do
Yeah,
this division,
466.
then multiply by 1165.
It's
What'd you-
466. Ozzy confirmed it also.
But this is our predicted.
Oh, I thought I did it correctly because there was a calculator. Oh, he can only see 16 ones.
He counts 16 out of 40.
there could be like the rest could be all right.
Who knows? But we only looked at 40 because that was convenient.
You should have looked at one.
But that the smaller the sample, the more a bias will have an effect. So the bigger your sample, the more likely you are to get rid of bias. Hey Ozzy, can you quit abusing my calculator? Unless you want to buy it, then you can do whatever you want with it. But when it's my calculator, treat it right. Suppose a business owner wants to determine what the site's visitors think of his website. He uses an e-newsletter that people have subscribed to ask what they think about his site. So I subscribe to Robert Kaplinsky, or some guy that I can't even pronounce his name. This website right here, PBL Search, which is actually a sweet website that we're going to use more as we get into the spring. I subscribe to this. So let's say Robert emails me and he asks me, hey, do you like my website? Do you think emailing the people that have subscribed to you creates a bias?
Yes.
Yeah, this is totally biased. They subscribed. They're on the newsletter. Now, how could I get rid of the bias but still ask people what they think about my website? Huh? Put the survey on your website and have it randomly pop up when people visit there. So this is not random, but when I go to Robert's website, it pops up and asks me, do I want to subscribe? If you made this a survey that pops up and says, hey, what do you think about the site? We see you've been here. Like, this could be a way that you could randomly collect that data. Just have it pop up when you go to the website. This is not because I subscribed. This just was in the program that as soon as I scroll on the site, it pops up and asks, do I want to subscribe?
What is that
Well,
website?
exit and scroll again.
It won't do it again because it knows that I already saw it.
What is that website?
So if I go in here, this is actually a manipulation of Google. So if I go in here and I decide that I want to search up a lesson on stats or statistics, volume of a rectangular prism, how much money is that? So this will give problem-based lessons dealing with statistics. Littered cigarette buttons, that's an interesting situation too. So we're going to do more with this, with his website as we get into here. Let's look at the next page of notes, please. I know. Systematic sampling is super easy to understand.
You said that's what.
What does it mean when something is systematic? If somebody says like, "Oh, you were systematic about how you did that," Jeremiah, what do you think? Oh, Jeremiah, what do you think? Sorry if I said your name
It's a
incorrect.
logical way of like doing something.
Okay, but I can do something logically that was
No, like,
not
A
systematic.
logically ordered way.
Honestly?
It's like very like you ordered things and you also like chosen stuff that you.
Okay, I've ordered, I've chosen, Ozzy.
You have a system for doing stuff.
There's a system, and really another like a synonym for system is there's a method that determines my selections. So a systematic sample is a method that determines who I choose. So my population here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 people. I have to choose a system, and I need to decide how many people I want. So we have to, in a systematic sample, decide your sample size. So we need to know my sample size. And then, this magical number we're going to work with, n. N is going to tell me how I make my choices. I do my population size over my sample size. So in this situation, if my population is 20 people, and I want to get a sample for 5 of them, I'm going to set up, okay, my n will be the population of 20 divided by I want a sample of 5. I will choose every 4th person. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 gets chosen. 5, 6, 7, 8 gets chosen. 9, 10, 11, 12 gets chosen. 13, 14, 15, 16 gets chosen. 17, 18, 19, 20 gets chosen. Did I get a sample of 5? Did I use a system to choose my people? Was this convenient?
No.
Not really. Is this gonna be more fair, potentially?
No.
Yes.
Should be.
Well, it should be.
Should be, could be, right? But it won't necessarily. If I look at my sample, how many purple people do I think are in the population? If I only look at my sample.
5. 0. Oh, 0.
0.
Oh,
If you only looked at your sample here, your sample did not get any
this is
purple
a
people.
5 sample.
So, systematic
Wink. Please come to the office.
can still be biased. But we didn't make it biased. Nothing, like, I just chose, I wanted 5 people, I'm going to choose every 4th. It just naturally happened. But if I see that my sample is totally biased, I can go back and try again. However, all I change is where I start. I'm still going to choose every 4th person. But what if I start with person 2? Then I would do 6. Then I would do 10. Then I would do 14. Then I would do 18. And I get my sample of 5.
Wow.
Yes, everybody.
Now I've got 2 purple people, 2 green people, and a blue dude. This seems more representative. All I did was shift where I started, and it doesn't matter where you start as long as we're within the first 4. I could not start at 6, because then I've already skipped a choice, right? If I start at 6, I actually really had to start at 2. Does that make sense? So let's do a few more of these to play this out and see
What
if
if
it
you
works.
start at 6 and then just come back? Like,
Then you didn't start at 6.
what if you start at 5?
We're going to argue starting. We're going to start at the lowest value we have. But yeah, if you did that accidentally, then you would realize, oh wait, I need to come back and make one more choice. So, we are doing research on students at our school, and we want to answer, is this systematic? So check these out. So our first choice is choose every 7th name. Dom, what do you think about that? Is choosing every 7th a systematic approach? Yeah, that's the system. The system is every 7. You have students in your class count off by 4s, and you choose every person that said the number 3. Ozzy, what do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, that's still a system. I actually chose every 4th person, but instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I just had them go 1, 2, 3, 4. I took person 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I take the next person 3. So this is still systematic. You make a list of all students and choose the first 10 names on your list. Sam,
That is not.
what is it instead?
It's the convenient.
If those people are available, that would be convenience. We will stop there so you guys have. Wait, did we say 42 or 42? 42. I got like a minute left. Let's try one more.
Actually, it's 12:43 right now.
You know what I know?
Okay, not according to Phoenix.
It's when I cut meat.
Maybe the time is broken.
I never remember. You know, the program.
If it's a good deli, it should be.
Yeah,
should
it
be
depends
fresh.
on the deli, but
It's
a good deli.
Like I worked at Jimmy John's. Our meat does not get frozen.
It freshly cut.
It's been refrigerated, but it has not been frozen. Subway freezes them.
Yeah.
So, movie theater wants to survey their customers, make sure they're maintaining a customer-friendly environment. I know. Which sampling description is systematic? So look for what the system is. Okay, they're choosing every moviegoer. Or they're choosing one customer that came into the theater. We start with the first and choose every fifth. Or we select the first 20. Which of these are systematic? Huh?
It's 3 because you're choosing every 5th.
This would get the whole population. This would only get a subject. This is systematic. Yay. And this is convenience. Thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Friday creative option class. Anyone